The part of the meeting where we hear the reports from agents and auditors, et cetera. And I will recognize Dr. Cascadden.
Thank you very much. Well, it's been 16 years. If you read my report in the town report, I'm not sad it's ending, but I'm very happy it happened. So 16 years ago, almost to the day, I came down to Bow. I sat right up in that corner, and there was a citizen who stood up and was screaming at Jim Hayden. Screaming at him. I mean, spit flying from his mouth. Follow your own rules. Follow your own rules. And I said, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Bow is intense. You guys are intense. You don't do anything part way. You fill the gym full of banners. You become all-state musicians. You go to MIT. You go to Harvard. It's a really intense place. And I get 16 years of thank yous, and I'm going to take just a few minutes. First of all, Jim Hayden, moderator. Oh my goodness, you've run meetings all the time. What you did in COVID became a model for the state. And it was just like, we were on the phone, well, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And Jim, you've done a wonderful job of moderator, and you raised some great kids. And just want to say thank you. Next one, Budget Committee. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do with Monday evenings in January now. But boy, did we have some stuff going on in those budget meetings. I mean, Dwayne will tell you, I'm not good at the money. I mean, I understand it, I can do it. I mean, but Dwayne loves it, and the Budget Committee loves it. I'm not good at it. I want to talk about kids. I want to talk about programs. I want to talk about education. But every Monday, you came in, we had some early conflicts. We've become a lot more collaborative. You said, look, we know you got to build program, but you got to do so in an economic way. Okay, I understand that. And you held our feet to the fire. There were times that I popped off. I mean, you know it. I popped off. I tend to do that sometimes. And you said, okay, we forgive you, and let's get back and talk. But Budget Committee, I just want to say I've respected you. I thank you for the work that you've done in town, and I appreciate your perspective. School boards, to see you tonight and to see all the people that have come in and the countless hours that you spend deliberating on things big and small, so many members, so much work, so many issues we went through, and you gave a lot of your free time and you always kept kids first. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of the school board members that are here tonight. Unions, Seth, Muriel, Kara, Sue, those are the ones I remember mostly. We had some drag-out fights. We had some hard negotiations. But we came to some win-win contracts, especially talking about health insurance. We not always agreed, but it was always respectful. And I always appreciated you. And I want to say thank you to the unions and especially the union heads who are here. So I'm going to give a short history from my perspective. I've come to understand that that's the only perspective that I really understand. When I came here in 2007, all I heard about was the high school was the Taj Mahal. Oh my God, they got mountain bikes in the basement and there's a swimming pool on the roof. That's not really true. That's what we just tell the freshmen. And, the spending is out of control, and the school doesn't listen to the town, and that was true. I mean, it was tough. The first 4 years were a little tough. Those were the Ian years, if you remember my son. And the Budget Committee and the school board were fighting, and those were the days. I mean, motions to cut the budget, motion to raise the budget, SB2, all sorts of stuff going on, and it's like, wow, what's going on here? Well, I looked at it. You had enrollment declines. That's what was going on. We had enrollment declines. I mean, you'd built the school for a certain size, and little by little it clicked away. And there came a point, I think it was about the third year, where we said, hey, we got to cut some staff. We got to cut some teachers because we got too many. and it's too much operating costs. And I remember that meeting because the kids were protesting and people were walking through a gauntlet to get here, and there was a move to like replace the teachers and so forth. And no, we cut the budget. And at that same time, it was a tough time because the state was pushing a lot of costs down to local districts. I mean, the locality now pays for most of your state education funding, and it's very difficult. So those first 4 years were tough. And then after that, about the 5th year, things started to change. We went over to Dunbarton and talked about an area agreement with them, and Dunbarton came in and filled our capacity. I mean, we've always tried to have our class sizes up around 20. You can in Bow because the kids are well behaved, and for the most part. There's a couple I can tell you about, but you know who you are. But Dunbarton came in, and a second thing happened when Dunbarton came in is we expanded the SAU to have a curriculum director. For the first 4 years, I was trying to be a curriculum director and be a superintendent, and I did neither particularly well. And then Don Gage came in, and Don started talking about competencies, and Don started talking educational vision, and he was here for quite a while. And then Shannon Bartling came in and got us through COVID and things we had to do there. And now we have Owen, who's looking at future-ready schools and bringing us forward. And he's a true curriculum guy who's just going to really keep an eye on what we're going on. During that time, we passed ADK by petition. The petition and got on the warrant and was passed, and we had all decay. We had a special education study. Our special education costs were spiraling. I remember, one of the first things people were like, "Why do you hire people to work with kids on the weekend?" I'm like, "I don't know. It sounds strange to me." And special ed had just it had gone out of control. We did a study, and now we have someone who really came in over the last few years, Marcy, and has really kept an eye on special ed and bring it in. And probably one of the things you'll see later in the meeting, our cost per pupil graphs crossed. When I first got here, your cost per pupil was higher than the state average. And through Dunbarton and through looking at costs and hard negotiations with the union, especially about health insurance, and the union was willing to work with us and make the health insurance changes, and we kept our class sizes fairly robust at around 20, our cost per student crossed, and we became under the state average. And I think that's been really good. And we had to kind of do that. We had the power plant tax issues and the public safety building like you talked about, and now the school board, the budget committee are working much closely together and more collaboratively. You're going to hear later on tonight about the CIP plan that they've led the school board to work on. And the other thing I just want to talk about, March of 20, COVID was tough. It was just tough. And we had two factions of a community, one who wanted us to have a number of interventions and one who didn't, and it was really tough to try to walk down the middle of that line. I've always tried to talk to people. I've always tried to seek consensus, and it was just really, really hard. It was hard on your kids. It was hard on your kids to stay home and learn. It was hard on them to come back to school en masse. We muddled through the best we could. We made the decisions the best we could. I'm not saying we made everyone right, but at the time we made the best decisions we could. And now it's March 23, and I'm leaving after 16 years. We're in a good spot. We've renewed the area agreement with Dunbarton for 15 years. We have union contracts settled, so as Marcy comes in, she's going to be able to have a year or two before they have to renegotiate. You have possibly the BES project is going to be decided tonight. Either way, you got a CIP plan that's going on, and we've got a great SAU. Like I said, Owen, the curriculum director, is coming in. He's got a great vision, a great way of working with people. You have the best business administrator in the state. He's not the assistant superintendent. Every once in a while, he let me make a decision. He's one of the best business guys in the state. He's got a great heart. He's got a great head for numbers. And, he's really been the driver. Dwayne's been the driver behind a lot of the success here. And now you have Marcy coming in to be superintendent. And I don't know how she's going to be, but I know her heart. I know her heart. She cares for kids. She can make tough decisions. And sometimes in this job, you need to make tough decisions. You need to move people on who aren't appropriate to be around kids. Or you need to make tough decisions around money. Or you need to make tough decisions around policy. And you need to be able to make those decisions and sleep at night, which I'm not very good at. But you also have to make them with an open heart. It's easy to, as Dilbert says before he got canceled, it's easy to make decisions when you hate the employees. It's much harder to make decisions when your heart's out there and you care for each person every day. And you've got a person coming in who's going to do that. She's got a great heart. She's tough, and I think she's a great person to move on. So I'm going to wrap it up. For 16 years, I've led with my heart. It's the only way I know how to do it. And you gave me some money. I'm not dissatisfied with the compensation. My good friend Chuck used to say, I would fill my Subaru up with cash and drive it up to Meredith, and he was right. I did that. And I'm very happy to do that. I'm going home. I'm not from here. I've visited Bo for 16 years. You people are still intense. Oh my God. I'm going to go back to the mountains, ski on Cannon Mountain. I'm going to go back to the lakes, catch some bass. I'm fearful of where public education is going right now, and I don't know where I'm going to be called. New Hampshire is a leader in choice. They're a leader in charters. And public education, as we know it, is going to change. And we need to be ready to adapt to it. Bo is a receiver of students. Hooksett comes here. Dunbarton comes here. Other people want to come here. We built a heck of a school system here. When I came here, my thought was, what could we do if you had resources? What could you do if you had a community that supported education? And I didn't always make great decisions, but we built a great system. And I know we've built a great system because I used to think that the way you measured a great system was test-based accountability, and you looked at your test scores. And now I know that what you do is you look at individual kids. We got a kid who's building a bass guitar out of a CRT tube, and he's going to MIT. We have kids who win state championships. We have kids who are internationally known Irish dancers. I didn't even know that was a thing, but they're internationally known Irish dancers. And then we have kids in electric wheelchairs whose goal is to learn how to navigate on their own. And we meet the needs of each and every one of those individual kids. You walk in Bow High School, and the first thing that people tell you, these kids want to be here, these kids are polite, and these kids have a future. And I'll finish up. We came up with a mission statement, care for each person every day. I think that's the base. Focus on learning. That's what we do. We learn. And finally, teach to touch the future. We are sending kids out, and they are going to affect the world. And they are going to change the world. And they've grown up in inclusive classrooms, and they care about each other, and they care about the diversity that each people has, and they accept them for who they are. And thank you. Thank you for this community for giving me a chance.